Welcome to episode 4 of the In Between podcast. Here at the In Between, we want to see you empowered and encouraged no matter what season of life you may find yourself in. And we believe that today's guest and her story will do just that. So whether you're listening in your car or watching on your laptop at home, we thank you for joining us and we hope you enjoy this week's show. Hello everyone and welcome back to the In Between podcast. This is episode 4, and we are so excited about our guest this week. We had an amazing interview with her. You're going to hear a little bit more about her in a minute, but we are really excited about the momentum that the In-Between is kind of picking up in just our first month of podcasts. You guys have connected with us, and we really love that. If you have not connected yet, make sure that you get on our website, theinbetween.com. There's a hyphen there, the-in-between.com, and subscribe. If you'll go down to the bottom of the page, add your email and subscribe, because we are working on some really good stuff that only our email subscribers are going to get straight to their inbox. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to send you like a million emails a week, because that's annoying. Nobody has time for that. We don't like that. But just maybe once a month, you're going to start seeing something pop up that only our email subscribers get that information. So make sure you subscribe.
Yes, we really, really want you to subscribe. Also, we just feel like this episode is so great that we want to give you an incentive to share it. So here's what we're going to do. For the next week, every time that you share something on the In-Between, maybe it's this Facebook post you're looking at that got you to this video, or an Instagram post, every time you share something on social media, we're going to put your name in a drawing. And what you're going to discover is we are interviewing my good friend, Josie Carignan, who is the founder of a human trafficking organization called Rescue Her. And she's got super cute things in the Rescue Her store. So when we draw next Tuesday, the winner is going to get to choose the cute t-shirt of their choice. You can go to rescueher.org and look at those. But share, let people know about the In-Between, let people know about this episode, and help us get the word out. All right, without any more being said, here is episode number 4 of the In-Between. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend, Josie. She is in Dallas right now, and you guys are just going to love her. She is a mom, a pastor's wife. She started an amazing organization called Rescue Her. She is Swedish, which is super cool.
Yay.
Yay. And so we're excited to welcome you to the In-Between podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, good. So we start each week with a little fun question of into it and over it. And so I'm going to start with you, Leslie. What are you into this week?
If you know me at all, this will not be surprising, because I'm kind of an over planner and I like to do things early. But I am super into my Thanksgiving prep. So some of my husband's family's coming all the way to Nashville to see us. So of course I have started the menu planning, the table decor plan in my head, and then having there's going to be 6 or 7 extra people in our house. So just making sure that I like to have a good plan. When are we cleaning? When are we doing this? When are we, So anyway, I know it's still 3 or so weeks away, but I have got a good plan. So I am all about Thanksgiving prep right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't thought a second about it. So
well, we used to always go to my mother-in-law's for Thanksgiving, and she did everything. I mean, she cooked this amazing feast pretty much on her own. She kind of liked to do it. Well, she has since moved to Alaska, so we're not trekking up to Alaska for Thanksgiving. So she's actually going to come and be with us, but she won't get here till late Wednesday. So we're going to already have a lot of the stuff going. Shopping has to be done, all that kind of stuff. So I've got a plan. Got some spreadsheets going.
Oh, wow.
You know me. I'm just going to organize it.
I'm so impressed. It's not going to be that exciting.
No. Mine either. In fact, we usually like buy half of our food from Sprouts, like pre-made. So that was very good. Josie, what are you into right now?
Okay, so I was trying to think about this while she was talking. I think I can think of a couple of little things. I don't have like an overwhelming project, but I'm really into Fresh 20. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but it's like a meal plan where you sign up and you get 20 ingredients. The beginning of the week, you get a shopping thing, and then they give you 5 dinners for a family of 4 for that week for those 20 ingredients. And I'm loving it because I don't have to think about my meals, and I just have to buy 20 ingredients, and they're all like fresh and healthy, and you can pick like the gluten-free menu or the vegetarian menu or whatever. And so I've been loving that for our family. And I'm trying to think what else. Evernote. I'm loving Evernote lately. Mint Milano cookies. They're just my favorite, and I can't get away from it. And the Blinkist. Have you guys ever done Blinkist? It's an app. Okay, so it's like they take books and it's kind of like Cliff Notes, but really, really short, and they read it to you. So in like 10 minutes, you can get a synopsis of a whole book. So like books that I have wanted to read, but I don't have time or stuff like that, I'll just turn it on in the car, and I'm loving that. So those are my.
Those are all really good. I like it. Fresh 20 and the Blinkist. I've never heard of that, but I love it because I have like a pile of to be read books that I'm just never going to get to.
Yes. Well, that's me too. And sometimes there are subjects like, leadership or like that kind of thing, like not even like standard books that I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get through that. But I'd love to hear a little synopsis on how to be more effective or how to, all those like how-to books. I'm Blinkisting right through them, and it's awesome.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, mine is not like really that helpful at all. I'm gonna tell you what I discovered this weekend.
Okay.
So I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. Like I read at least 1 or 2 of her novels over and over every year. And so her last book that she didn't finish, she died before she finished it. It's called Love and Friendship. And they just made a movie out of it. Like they made their own ending. Like we don't actually know how Jane Austen would have ended it, but it has Kate Beckinsale in it. And so if you are a fan of like British kind of movies, it's not like a love story. It's more just like great characters and kind of quirkiness. It's called Love and Friendship, and it's out now. You can watch it you can get it rent it from Redbox, or it's not on Netflix yet, but it's on Amazon Prime and some things like that. So I watched it this weekend. It was lovely.
Was it nice? I saw it on Amazon Prime, and I didn't know what it was. So
yeah.
I just saw the title pan by, so now I'm going to have to watch it.
Yes, so go watch it. It's fun. It's just for a nice, kind of laid back movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are good into it things. Let's discuss over it for a minute. Josie, what are you over right now?
I am very, very over the hot weather. I want fall. I want winter. I want fall leaves. I want snow. I want something because I have my sweaters ready and my boots. And I was listening to the radio this morning, and it's like the hottest it's been in 118 years in October. And it is just not okay. I need it to be fall. I've got my pumpkin candle, and I want hot chocolate and gloves and stuff. So I'm over the hot weather, like entirely.
Yes.
I agree 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Paige, what about you? What are you over?
Okay, you know what I'm over? I am so over stepping on minuscule hard objects with bare feet. Like, I don't know if this is a problem in your home, but I feel like right now everywhere I go, I walk barefoot everywhere. And between Legos, and my little girls are really into Shopkins, which are these tiny little plastic, food people. Yeah. I feel like I'm walking on stuff all the time. And now outside we have like thousands of acorns that have fallen. And so sometimes I'll run outside barefoot, and now that's like a danger zone as well. So I don't know the answer. Maybe I should clean my house more, but either way, I'm over it. Or shoes. Maybe I should just wear shoes.
Yeah, I just put on a pair of shoes. Well, for me, I didn't realize this till this morning. I was trying to make my grocery list for the week, and I kind of go through the fridge, and I was cleaning out. I am so over leftovers. I don't know why we're not a leftover family. Me and my husband have been married for 12 years, and we just don't eat leftovers, yet I always save all the extras. And so, then I go to clean out the fridge, and I'm pulling out 7 Tupperware containers of it's gross at this point, but I mean, it's only like a week or 2 worth of leftover. Why do we bring home the leftover food no one's eating it. No one's eating it. It's just taking it through. So
and now you've moved away from us because, my husband, he will eat all the leftovers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You should have seen, I used to be a bit of a food hoarder. I'm working on this since we moved. My pantry was just unbelievably stocked. My fridge, just freezers, just full of stuff, which was nice because I could just make lots of meals. I had with stuff on hand. But then when we moved, I didn't want to move all that stuff. So my mom got totally stocked with.
Wow.
She's like, why do you have 3 bags of frozen chicken? And I don't need this many like meatballs and jars of, condiments. But she got it all because I didn't want to move it. So anyway, I'm trying to do better here. But the leftovers, it feels wasteful to me to throw it away. Even though in my mind, I know I'm just going to throw it away like a week later. So I don't know. Maybe I should just cut ties, cook the meal, eat the meal, and enjoy it, and then just be done with it. So leftovers, I don't know. And here I am planning Thanksgiving, and we're going to have so many leftovers. It's going to be funny. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess. Josh could fly up and eat the leftovers. I don't know what else.
He would if we could afford it, I'm sure. In fact, Josie, a little secret in our family is if we go out to eat with all of us, my husband's the kind of guy, he doesn't just take his food leftovers, but he'll look down the table and say, "Hey, Leslie, are you going to eat that at home? Can I take," he will take everybody's leftover food home. And he really does eat it. So it's a little gross.
If there is something that you do want to eat, for any reason you're afraid Josh might be in your refrigerator at any point, you better label it because this has happened. Our younger sister has a story. She brought home half of a calzone and she was super excited, and she came home to eat it for lunch, and Josh found it and it was gone. So you gotta label that stuff.
That's my teenage son. He's 16 and he'll eat everything. So unless I hide it, it won't be there, leftover or otherwise.
Well, Josie, I know a little bit about your organization. Paige knows more. She's kind of filled me in. Rescue Her, your ministry. But we would love for you to just kind of share the heart, the vision behind that, how you got started, and just tell us what Rescue Her is all about.
Yeah, well, so Rescue Her is a ministry that fights human trafficking. And we started, oh my goodness, I guess it's been 7.5 or almost 8 years ago now, which seems like time just flies. But it started when we lived actually in Clovis, which is not too far from you, Paige. And we had just come off the mission field. We were missionaries in Israel. For about 5.5 years. We had all our kids with us, and the happy missionary family. But one of the things that happened there is, for the first time in my life, I encountered human trafficking. And there was this girl that came to our ministry. She got born again, and we're just starting to hear her story. And I had no idea about modern slavery or that people could be bought or sold or anything like that. And so she was actually Russian. She was not Jewish, and had been sold by her family in Russia to the Russian mob, brought into Egypt, where she was forced to serve in a brothel. And she was literally tied up underneath a car and brought into Israel across the Sinai Desert, smuggled into Tel Aviv, where she was forced to serve. And that's where she was still when we met her. And I was just shocked. And I honestly thought to myself, oh my gosh, somebody needs to help her. And it should not be me. What do you say? What do you do? How do you even begin the healing in the heart and soul of somebody that's been through such horrible things? And I had 2 daughters. I'm I don't want to think about this. This is just too much. But I honestly thought she was the only one. So I thought, it's a good thing we found her, From then on, just God took me on this journey where everywhere I turned, it seemed like I was encountering human trafficking. it's kind of like if you buy a new car, then all of a sudden you see all the other people with that car. You've never noticed it before. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many red Camrys. I never knew. But for me, it was like my eyes were opened and all of a sudden I'm seeing it everywhere. We moved to the UK after that. And there was a very like public case of a young British girl that was taken while she was on vacation. And all of a sudden everybody was talking about it. We moved back to the US and same thing. God just like kept bringing it across my path. And I honestly didn't think it was something I should do something about. I just thought like, wow, this is horrible. And I remember being in this place. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I was really kind of self-piteous and frustrated with the Lord because I thought we would like live and die on the mission fields. And now we had come back to the United States. And my husband was an associate pastor. It was very 9 to 5. I was soccer mom. My kids were in school. I wasn't homeschooling anymore. And I just felt kind of useless. Like, okay, God, I wanted to be a missionary. Like, what did I do wrong? Why am I stuck here now? Why are we back in America? And there's got to be something you want me to do. So I remember going to this service and wanting to get ministered to and wanting to get encouraged and just like, I need to snap out of this funk and I need to just, get refreshed. And I sat down and they showed this video about human trafficking. And I'm like, not this again. Like, now I'm going to have nightmares. So while this video was playing, God just spoke to me. And, sometimes you're like, is that God? Is that me? Is that the devil? Like, you're just not sure. But I was sure. It was one of those, like, my whole body was hot and tingling. And I just knew that God was speaking to me. And I don't remember the rest of the service other than God and I had a moment. And he was like, this is what I need you to do is I need you to do something about human trafficking. And meanwhile, the video is like playing in the background and I'm hearing like 27 million and all these horrible things. And I was like, first of all, do you have the wrong person? Like, did I sit next to somebody that you meant to talk to? Because I don't know how to do anything about human trafficking. Second of all, are you watching this same video? Because I'm feeling like it's a huge issue. And I am, just one person. Mm-hmm. And again, I just heard him speak to me because I was stuck with this 27 million number in my head. And he was like, well, would you go for one? I'm not asking you for millions. Would you go for one? Because I would come for you. Like, I would send my son for you. And I felt like, I would go on the cross for one. And so I was sitting there and I was like, I could do that. Like, I could try to help one. So in that moment, I just said yes to that. And that's really where it all began. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had envisioned in my mind what I thought it would look like because I was, missions oriented. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's our ticket outside of America again. I immediately just jumped to conclusions of what it might be and how we would move to India or Asia or whatever. So I ran home and I told my husband, like, God spoke to me. We're going to fight human trafficking. Like, you need to raise up an army of strong guys and we're going to raid brothels and we need to move to Cambodia or, whatever. And he just looked at me like I'm crazy because it was so out of the blue. And he's like, well, God called us here. I took this job at the church. The kids are thriving. Pray again. Like, I'm sure God spoke to you, but what is it meant to look like for you? And really, that's when Rescue Her started. I tried volunteering for different organizations, couldn't really find anywhere to plug in. And so we started with a coffee label that we sold coffee. And then we added t-shirts and wristbands. And it was like very just grassroots-ish. We had $200, I think, that we had set aside for a missions offering that we decided to invest. That was so huge for us in getting a business license. And I think GoDaddy was like, I found rescueher.org for 99 cents or whatever. And my brother did the website and the logo. And we just started selling stuff. And at the end of each month, I would take the money that I had made and send it to somebody who had either a safe home or was rescuing girls or something like that. And from that point, God has brought us to where we are today, where we're actually able to actively be involved and do both prevention and other things through our ministry ourselves. So that's kind of the nutshell of Rescue Her. So,
wow. So tell us a little bit about what are you guys doing now? Talk a little bit about that prevention side as well as the rescuing side. What does that look like?
So right now, one of the big things we do is we have motel outreach here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where we're located. And we have teams that go out on Saturdays and I think sometimes during the week as well, but mostly on Saturdays. And we partner with motels because they are a hotspot for trafficking. Girls are brought to motels to work, or they're transported from city to city and they're staying in motels. So what we've come to realize is actually kind of joining forces with the motel owners is very effective, because they are then starting to be aware of what's happening in their motels and learning how they can report it, how they can prevent it, how we can actually be a help to the girls. We put soaps and stickers in the bathrooms that have a hotline number, because that's one of the only times that a girl might be alone. So if she wants help, now we're at the point where we're making our own, like, because that's the national hotline, but our own local hotline number, where we're working with the police and child protective services to be a middleman, because the motel owners trust us and we've built relationship over years with them, and they won't call the police if they have an underage girl in their hotel. They just don't want them there, the police to come. So yeah, we're very excited about that, where we're now able to have a little first response team that can go and respond to those type situations, and just praying that God will find many, many girls through that. We've partnered with several like safe homes, and through that, God has really put it on our hearts to open homes in different countries that are needing care for girls. I know you've kind of been a part of that journey, but we were trying to open a home in India, which just wasn't getting approval. So we pulled out of that, and through that season, really, we have several countries on our heart. So we're focusing now more on South and Central America, which has been a lot easier or open to work in. And yeah, I'm really excited about that, both on the prevention side, but also even just last week, we were able to go down and rescue some girls, which was really, really awesome. So it's kind of a little bit on all the different sides. We go into schools, different community groups, and talk about human trafficking, apartment complexes where we feel like there's a need, things like that. Yeah.
Very cool. So how do you manage to balance all of this when you're a mom of 3 kids, you and your husband pastor a church?
Yeah.
You're involved in all sorts of things. I saw like a couple days ago you were teaching at Christ for the Nations. So how do you, as a normal woman, how do you balance it all? For our ladies that are listening thinking, well, yeah, I could never do something like that. Like how could they, and how could they balance it?
Right. Well, first of all, I have to say that I ask that same question of almost any woman that I meet, because I think it's like the standard girl question, because we do so much and there are only so many hours in the day. So I don't know that I'm like perfect at that at all, but I can tell you just what I do. And I think I've learned a lot along the way. And one of the main things is to be willing to delegate. That if Rescue Her, like if we have a vision to do something, it doesn't mean that I have to be there. Right. But if I empower and raise people up to do it, because I think, you know, when it's your baby and you feel like God gave you the vision, so often you feel like you have to be hands-on, and not just that in like in a controlling way, but almost I think I would feel guilty, like asking other people to do what I wasn't there doing with them. Like they have the same amount of hours as I do, so I should be there. Like every time there's an outreach, or every time there's a prevention, or every time, like I should be there, and I can't. And so coming to that point of like, hey, I'm not going to go on the Saturday outreach just because I'm going to be with my family, but there's a team now that can go, and they're doing an awesome job. So I think that's one of the things, is just letting go of the guilt of like, you don't have to be there. Another thing for me, which I've talked to many of my pastor's wife friends or pastor friends, is like, I used to feel really bad if I was in the office 9 to 5. Our church and Rescue Her offices in the same building, and I work for both. And, you know, our staff, that some of them are required to be there certain hours and stuff, same thing. I felt like if I was working from home, even though it was easier for me and I got more done and I could also like do the laundry and stuff, I felt bad. Like, but I'm not there, and so they won't feel the support, and like they don't know I'm working, you know. But the bottom line is, you're not trying to impress anybody, and whatever works best for you. And if it's better for my family that I just come in the office a couple of times during the week, or I go in the morning and then I leave, I'm just not going to feel bad that the rest of the people have to stay till 5, because I'm coming home, and at the same time as I'm answering emails and phone calls, I'm able to prep for dinner or make sure I can pick the kids up on time or whatever. So I think for me, it was like, you feel like you have to be Superwoman and you have to be everywhere. And so not to think about how other people perceive it, and learning to say no to stuff. Like you feel, oh, wow, that's such a great opportunity. And I used to say yes to all great opportunities. And I was like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? So really weighing it out, especially when you make commitments like far in advance, then it seems like you have all the time in the world. But once that month or whatever rolls around, you're like, why did I schedule all those events? And they kind of gang up on you. So I've learned to manage my schedule better. And lastly, I think letting go of perfection, like just getting it done is good enough. I'm like big on that. And it's not to say that I don't want things to be professional or to look good or whatever. And sometimes I'm even like hard on my team or whatever. I like things to have a certain standard, but I have totally let go of the, my whole house is going to be clean. I am not planning for Thanksgiving till like the day before. I think like there are a lot of things like that I used to do that have changed for me. I used to have, like, I'm doing the Fresh 20 meal plan because I'm like, I never know what's for dinner. That became a problem for me. I used to plan my own meal plans. I don't anymore. So just trying to take shortcuts and making it perfect. Like I'll sweep instead of mop or whatever. And I remember when I was kind of walking through that transition, I felt like, oh, I'm such a fail. I'm not doing it like I used to. But I'm realizing that the benefits of just good enough is fine. Like even writing a newsletter, I don't have to agonize over it for like a week. I'll just write down what's on my heart and that's going to be fine, whatever. Because I used to get stuck in that perfectionist trap. And I think maybe other people do too, where we can't move on to the next thing and everything takes so long because we have to get it just so.
Yeah.
I love that. I love what you said about delegating. And I think that could go for someone in ministry or even just really in any role that we have as women. And I like to look at it like, sometimes you feel bad about delegating something to someone else, but really you're inviting them in to partner and be a part of the ministry that is going on. And so it's not like, I think the enemy would love for us to focus on, well, I'm not there, I'm not doing everything, when really it's allowing other people to be a part. And that's so cool. I mean, that person that may never have had the courage or the means or the ability to start something, they can come alongside and go to a Saturday outreach or go to whatever and be a part and get to experience the same reward that you do, in the ministry. And I think that's so important. And we can kind of let ourselves off the hook. Like you don't have to be at everything, because sometimes delegating means you're giving someone else that opportunity to participate and to be a part of it. And I think that's really cool. I think that's important that we include others and delegate, because yes, it makes our lives a little more bearable, and then it also gives them an opportunity. So I think that's really cool. What would you say maybe is like the number one thing you're learning during this season? What is God teaching you, or what is he showing you during this season?
I think, I don't know. I'm trying to think, put my finger on it. Well, I don't know right this moment what he's teaching. Well, actually I do. I was just telling somebody about it. Okay, this is what he's teaching me, is that no seed or whatever it is that you're doing, no work that's done for the kingdom is wasted. And for me, it's really come full circle when it came to all the work that we put into our home in India. And we had to shut that down at the beginning of this year. It was in January. And I remember just praying and saying, God, like, I really felt like we obeyed you. We asked you every step of the way, and we were trying to be wise stewards of the finance. And but we had invested so much money. We had a staff over there, all the stuff that we had done. And to have that come to a close, I was like, okay, what was that all about? And not that I exactly understand. Like I had one of those moments where, kind of like that verse that where it says, just dust your feet off of that town if they don't want you, whatever, when Jesus was talking to his disciples, because I just kept feeling like, keep trying. And then one day when I was praying, God was like, nope, you don't have to keep trying. Just close it down. So we did. But I remember after that, I was like, God, I feel like I wasted so much like time and energy and money or whatever. And he's like, well, in me though, nothing is wasted. And the seeds that you sowed in India, I will have you reap in other countries. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think about that till a couple of weeks ago. And we've had so much that we've been able to do in just a short few months in these other countries, whereas in India we had been there for years and it really came to nothing. And I just felt God was, so he spoke to me, he's like, see, I told you that you would reap a harvest somewhere else. And I think that translates to so many areas of our life. Like we invest in prayer or time or whatever in a certain project or a certain ministry or in our, you know, in an attitude of our child or whatever it might be. And sometimes when it comes to nothing and it's just not working, I feel like that frustration just, but that God says, hey, that's never wasted. No good deed goes unseen by our Father in heaven. And if you love on somebody and they never, you know, come to know me, and if you love on someone and they never return that love or whatever it might be, he sees. And not only does it return to you, but he makes sure it grows and you can reap the harvest in other areas instead. So I'm walking through that at the moment.
That's good. I needed to hear that today for sure, because I do think there's so many times in all different kinds of areas where you, especially I think we have certain expectations that we have that things are going to work out. And when they don't work out in that way, you can kind of feel like, yeah, did I just waste that? So I think that's so good that nothing's wasted in his kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you one final question. Can you share with us one favorite, do you have a favorite story or a favorite God thing that he's done through Rescue Her?
Yes. So I think it was, you sent me a question, something like, what's your favorite photo? So I was kind of thinking last week or whatever. And it's this photo of me on a boat from last week. It was on my Instagram or whatever. And for me, that was super special because we had just gotten these 5 girls out of their situation where they had been trafficked and trapped and been able to return them back to their country and to their homes. And it was amazing. And like I said, it was really God just orchestrated all of it. And it was an amazing week and it was so beautiful. And again, just like I felt like a harvest of what we had sown in other places. Yeah. But it was really extraordinary, and seeing them, you know, reunite with their mom, their families, and knowing like 2 of them were pregnant. They were just so, seeing their faces, I think for me was just one of the most beautiful things. And that picture was when we were coming back, we were on this boat and going there and having the girls with us, and 2 of them were throwing up and we weren't, you know, like it was just, everything was so intense. And then coming back, I'm sitting there and just having this moment with Jesus. Like all of a sudden it was just me in a boat and it was beautiful. There was this rainbow that came up and there were dolphins. I'm like, I feel like I'm on vacation. All of a sudden it went from like this high intense, stressful to just Jesus, and I just felt his peace. And I remember I was listening to worship music and just praying, and it was just such a beautiful moment. So for me, last week, just because this is when we're talking, so right now last week is really on my mind. But yeah, these 5 girls had been tricked thinking they were coming to get great jobs, and it turned out to be horrible. They had to serve in these bars/brothels with no way out, and they were on this island and they were stuck and they couldn't get off the island. And just through God-ordained opportunity, we had a connection of people that knew them and were able to get them out. And it was amazing. And God just did miracle after miracle. And you can plan it as, you know, as well as you can, but only God can make all the pieces fall together. And it really did, and was incredible.
Oh, I love it. That's so good. That's so cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing with us. And I could just talk to you for hours and hours, because God's always teaching you cool things. And yet you're so real. I love that about you too. So thank you. And on our show notes, we'll put all the links to Rescue Her so people can go and check out and get involved, and as well as follow you on Instagram so they can see those beautiful moments with dolphins and rainbows and things like that.
It was like, oh my gosh, how is this happening right now? But God is cool like that. It was very surreal. Anyway, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Yes. So, all right. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for episode 4 of the In Between podcast. Don't forget to log on to Facebook and Instagram this week, and be sure to share this episode with your friends so you'll be entered into our giveaway drawing. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great week.